parents exhaust everything to take care of their son, who was paralyzed by a drunk driver 13 years ago. In Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteers and entrepreneurs cooperate to provide 35 metric tons of rice to people in need. 歡迎收睇今日嘅DaAi Headlines，我係 Ruby 我哋一齊睇下今日DaAi內容。In Taichung, college student Bohui became paralyzed after being hit by a drunk driver 13 years ago. His parents closed their business and devoted themselves to taking care of him, while his two younger siblings bore the financial burden of the family. Unfortunately, his sister was recently diagnosed with cancer, so the volunteers immediately went to care for them.
Helping his son to turn over, patting his back, and massage his hands and feet. Mr. Lin has been doing this for 13 years, and his wrist was injured because of that.
In the past, I had to carry Bohui. My entire spine was oppressed.
37-year-old Bohui was hit by a drunk driving while going to work when he was in a college. His brain was damaged and his limbs were paralyzed.
After he was injured, we closed our business, and we slowly spent the money that we saved previously.
After Bohui's parents ended their business in the market, the two concentrated on taking care of Bohui, and his two younger siblings made money to support his family. Bohui's intelligence has degraded to the level of kindergarten. He can only express simply. The village head often sends them supplies for concern.
The youngest daughter, who is the pillar of the family, was diagnosed with cancer at the beginning of this year, so the family's financial situation has worsened.
Bohui's mother is compassionate and has been a Tzu Chi donating member for more than 10 years. She refused outside help when her son had a car accident.
The social worker has always wanted to help us. I said no need. I wanted to give it to those in need.
At that time, they still had some savings and used them slowly, and now they have no money.
The burden of the whole family is now on the younger son, but he doesn't think it's hard. He wants to accompany his parents to take care of his brother, facing life difficulties strongly.
On the 8th day after the Chengzhongcheng building fire, the Kaohsiung City Government has actively assisted affected residents in moving into social housing. Many expect the setup of management committee and the installation of household alarms in all apartment buildings, hoping to improve their safety.
A big fire destroyed the house, and the loft left. Some residents depend on relatives, and some still live in hotels. When they go to home again, they have to walk on the ashes.
It's not easy to find things inside. Everything is black and messy.
The fire department has posted a fire safety inspection notice on the buildings for 2 consecutive years, but it was hindered because it did not set up a management committee. In this regard, the Consumer Foundation supports amendment of management regulation on apartment buildings.
We hope that after the amendment of the law, the establishment of management committee will have a higher compulsory performance, and we also hope that its operation will be normal.
Some residents of these buildings use their own money to buy fire extinguishers and place them in the stairwell. Because of the building did not have the fire alarm, the fire ranged up from the first floor, and it was too late to use it.
From the standpoint of the Consumer Foundation, we hope to persuade the government, especially for buildings like this kind of old and dangerous buildings that can get free or low-cost household alarm settings.
The fire took away 46 lives. As a warning, the city government has plans for this building.
Of course, the long-term housing rights are still the responsibility of the social housing. These people are all disadvantaged people. According to the social housing rental management plan, we have now also found several places for them.
At present, the donation from the special fire account has exceeded 200 million NT dollars, which will be invested in pension and the residents' resettlement. Tzu Chi volunteers are also setting up a carrier station on the site.
We have a few Tzu Chi brothers here to help set up tents so that we can have a place to serve the nearby villagers.
not only at a building site, but also in the district office.
We will go over and ask them if there is any need in a follow-up. We will help and will serve them.
Both care stations have social workers and volunteers stationed there to provide effective households more information and assistance.
In Xizhi, a grandma who has diabetic food problem needs to take care of 2 young grandchildren. They only eat 1 meal of instant noodles a day. After knowing their plight, the volunteers immediately send them food and other necessities to help them tide over their difficulties.
他们都是一天吃1餐，哦，真的，只有晚餐一天吃，因为大便的问题啦，大小便人没有办法。对对。我只要物资，你们有物资给我就很高兴，很满。
OK。这个吼，这个就是类似你吃稀饭的时候啊。
哦，物资真印度买来供。
These supplies really help us a lot. We don't have to eat instant noodles and go hungry every day.
不用让我们饿肚子，每天吃泡面。
Caring starts with the most basic need of food.
像这个东西就是刚刚那个我们邻居。
Something like this is given by our neighbor. He thought it's not good for the kids to always eat instant noodles with meat, so he bought one for them to eat.
Grandma Zheng has mobility issues and suffers a lot.
It's all rotten here. This side has been cut off, while this is also rotten.
这边也都烂掉了。
电锅还有什么？还有那个物资，米啊、面啊那一些。我也是看到你好开心哦。你看你孙子那么对，看到你那么开心。我们做访视的那个。
From our experience of conducting home visits, we know that this family really needs help, and the attitude of this grandma is very good. She knows what she lacks and what she needs.
拿起来。哦。好，他去喝。他目前所用的那个便盆椅。
The commode chair she has is no longer fit, so we changed one for her.
我们就换了一个便盆椅给他。
I would suggest to the kids that when they need help, they can tell their parents or teachers to seek some relevant assistance.
好了吗？好了吗？好了吗？好，对啊，这一只对这一只。
Love is all around. The school works with charity organization to help this family tide over difficulties.
真的我不知道怎么讲，真的很感谢。
To encourage more people to have balanced meals, Tzu Malaysia chapter promotes a 21-day plant-based diet event in the community. One of the participants, radiologist Dr. Liu Huifang, not only improved her health, but also has a better understanding of how to get nutrients from vegetables.
Making good use of the open space next to your home, one could build a small vegetable garden to plant a variety of fruits and vegetables.
呢個你得閒你幫我種多啲好冇？呢個好好食嘅喎，好有營養下嘅，fiber 係 high fiber。哇，嗰個係黃瓜嚟嘅喎。大咗咯，可以摘咯。我開嚟睇下冇？可以。
Homegrown vegetables can be picked anytime and without pesticides, so you can eat them safely and healthily.
以前可能 protein 就是肉。
In the past, I thought that protein was just meat or eggs, but it also includes these vegetables. Now I know that a plant-based diet such as these long beans are also protein.
One of the source of protein.
Radiologist Tzu Chi began to embark on a vegetarian diet a year ago, has benefited a lot from a healthy diet.
My cholesterol really dropped and my blood sugar also went down. My blood pressure has also gone to a more standard level. Before, I had fatty liver, but after switching to a plant-based diet, my fatty liver is gone.
Each plant-based diet with less oil, less salt, and plant-based cooking methods helps one obtain balanced nutrition. According to the Malaysian Health Survey, in recent years, 1 in 2 adults is overweight or obese.
Many people who come to the hospital are sick. When I do the scan, during those few minutes, I will tell the patient why they are obese and I will introduce a plant-based diet. Many people don't understand. At the beginning, I thought that I was just a radiologist and I could not talk about nutrition. I am not a nutritionist, so would anyone believe me? I didn't expect that when I was speaking, people really listened and will continue to ask questions.
Sickness can come from one's diet, and correcting eating habits can prevent illness from afflicting you.
The United Nations hopes to create a world of zero hunger by 2030. However, the number of world hunger has deteriorated recently. The global climate change has also brought severe challenges to rice farmers. Let's see how Malaysia deals with the food shortage problem. The fragrant rice is one of the staple food in many people's daily diets. Husking of raw rice into white rice involves many complicated steps. Chengzhongcheng, which is a small town located in the northern part of Selangor, is one of the main rice production areas in Malaysia, with an average yield of 10 metric tons of rice per hectare.
The weather is pretty good now. Sometimes there is strong wind at night, which will beat the rice leaves around. As the edges of the leaves are very sharp, they may cut and hurt each other, causing the tips of the leaves to turn red slowly. At the booting stage, when the rice leaves turn red, the nutrient absorption of the whole plant will be disturbed, affecting the harvest. The leaves mainly support the nutrition of the entire plant, especially the panicle, which is the most important. If bacteria infect the developing grains, the amount of rice grains will be decreased by 30%. There are normally about 200 rice grains in each panicle of rice. Maybe half of them are empty. From sowing to harvesting, the growing period of rice is about 4 months. However, the global climate change has brought severe challenges to rice farmers. The world's climate is getting worse. We, as rice farmers, rely on weather for successful harvest. I'm also worried it will snow in Chengzhongcheng one day. The abnormal climate has led to food shortage crisis in many countries. In the past few years, the number of hunger in the world has sharply deteriorated, and its growth rate has exceeded the world's populations. According to the latest UN report, in 2020, more than 800 million people around the world will suffer from food shortage, which is equivalent to 1 out of 9 people in a hungry state. October the 16th is the World Food Day. The United Nations marks this year's theme as Our Actions Are Our Future, hoping to raise awareness about food crisis.
In Malaysia, our self-produced rice accounts for about 70%, while the imported white rice accounts for 30% of the total. Currently, we have 200 kilotons of rice in our inventory. It can go up to 290 kilotons, which is enough for 6 months.
The Malaysia Rice Wholesale Association cooperates with the National Rice Limited Company to introduce imported white rice to the market so as to stabilize market supply and price of the rice.
On average, 200,000 tons of imported and self-produced white rice are consumed every month. Even if there is a change, it's only in terms of price, but not on rice supply.
The food crisis has also attracted the attention of different religions. In the food system, Tzu Chi advocates the concept of simple vegetarian dishes to replace hearty delicacies. By reducing meat's desired, everyone can make good use of their abilities to help others, while reducing food waste.
The rice grain that is not ripe enough will not drop, making it a waste, so we always tell farmers to harvest those totally ripe ones.
With actual experience, the children can understand the toil of farming and learn to cherish food.
I can better understand the farmer's hardship and learned that even one rice grain is so precious that we should cherish it.
In face of food shortage, people should cherish food to avoid waste. Everyone should bear it in mind to truly solve the problem. In Bohui, Indonesia, the volunteers and entrepreneurs continue to provide material assistance to people in need. With the help of the military and the NATO UNAMA, a total of 35 metric tons of rice were donated to help orphans, children with disabilities, and community residents in need. Yuris runs a snack food stall, and since the pandemic, there have been no customers. In order to support her family's daily expenses, she has to switch to doing online sales. On this day, Tzu Chi sent her a bag of rice, making her overjoyed.
With this bag of rice, I don't have to buy rice in the coming few days. It really helps us a lot.
In response to the pandemic, Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter cooperated with industrialists to donate 10 metric tons of rice, which was coordinated and distributed by the NATO UNAMA.
There are so many residents here. Everyone is affected by the pandemic and has no income. We have to disassemble the rice that Tzu Chi sent from the original 10 kilograms package to 5 kilograms so that it can be distributed to more households.
During the pandemic, we must share our blessings and join hands to help those affected. We encourage them not to give up and be optimistic, because in the community there are many people who care about them.
In Bogor, Tzu Chi's cooperation with the military still continued.
We are very grateful to the Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter. You have been very enthusiastic in providing assistance to these disadvantaged groups often. This time, the rice can help orphans and children with disabilities. Volunteers' love will definitely make them feel the warmth of society.
Each pack of rice represents the love of kind-hearted people, accompanying those in need to tide over the difficult times during the pandemic. The pandemic in Cambodia have eased a bit, but residents are still living on the fringes of society. Thus, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to hold COVID relief distributions to help families with disabilities and those who scavenge for a living.
The residents line up in pandemic measure safety and also go through full-body disinfecting before receiving the aid supplies. This is the distribution held by Tzu Chi volunteers in Cambodia for COVID-19 relief. Towards the end of September and early October, 2 events were held in Kaohsiung City Government to help a total of 137 disadvantaged families.
Tzu Chi does not discriminate against other religions or ethnicities. This type of charity group is the best partner for the government. We should all do charity to help others less fortunate than us.
The distribution venue is located in Sangkat Sar Diamkov, where the residents mostly scavenge for a living. And as they have been quarantined at home, their living situation is very dire.
So happy that Tzu Chi has helped our community because we are having such a hard time with life right now. With these 8 items, at least, we don't have to starve for a while.
Tzu Chi has helped us so many times. Last time we received rice and blankets. This time you gave us rice and other essential necessities. Thanks so much for your love for us.
Volunteers also reminded them that eating a vegetarian diet can improve their health.
Life is difficult right now, but this doesn't mean we need to give up on washing our hands, wearing masks, or paying attention to eating more vegetables and avoiding the necessary killing of animals.
At the end of the distribution, Tzu Chi also visited some recipients to further understand their difficulties in an attempt to better plan for the next COVID relief events.
Tzu Chi volunteers also host COVID relief distributions in the Philippines. In Angeles City, Luzon, many people have been without jobs for over a year. A councilperson reached out to Tzu Chi asking for help. Tzu Chi immediately responded and brought rice and other daily necessities to help people in need.
疫情当下，真的是很多人没有工作哈。那也希望我们这一次的发放啊，能够帮助在他们未来的1个月里面哈，不用去担心他们的大米还有吃饭的问题哈。
Outside the big sports venue, trucks carrying gifts arrive. The items unloaded are part of Tzu Chi Philippine chapter's relief goods in Angeles City, where a majority of the residents are indigenous people.
This is a big gift for them, especially now that there is a pandemic, others are unemployed. Their food is really not enough, so Tzu Chi Foundation has done a great blessing for them once again.
The big gift the counselor mentions is rice and other 10 essentials. The recipients this time are the Aita people. Some of them have been starving.
I haven't worked for years. It is a blessing for us to receive relief goods today. Sometimes I don't eat because I'm the only one at home. It is really a blessing today, so I'm thankful to the Lord and the Tzu Chi Foundation.
As there are over 1,000 recipients on this day, the volunteers especially picked a spacious outdoor venue to hold the distribution, and thankfully community volunteers came forward to help.
We have 30 teachers from school who volunteered. Then there are about 20 to 30 of our Tzu Chi staff and volunteers. The barricade office people also came. All in all, there were about 50 helpers. We are so thankful for everyone's assistance.
One of my personal favorite parts of this is seeing everyone do their own small donation at the end. You can see that every little thing that people do will add up to something bigger in the future.
The pandemic has hit this group of disadvantaged people hard, but on the other hand, it has brought out the best in others.
In Douliu, the Chinese Professional Baseball League has started its regular season. With the vice superintendents and daughters of Danin Tzu Chi Hospital done the ceremonial first pitch. Tzu Chi volunteers also held a bone marrow registration event at the stadium, inviting baseball fans to donate love while enjoying the games.
As the baseball season kicks off, the medical team from Daling Tzu Chi Hospital is here to perform the ceremonial first pitch. Outside the stadium, volunteers invited citizens to participate in bone marrow registration.
We only have to donate 10 cc of blood. It can save a life without harming our own. If there is a match, we save a person and their family.
Because of the pandemic, our registration even paused, and the number of registered applicants reduced. We hope to use this opportunity to register more people and to provide more chances to patients suffering from leukemia.
Daling Tzu Chi Hospital Sports Medicine Center's director, Cheng Wei-ren, is a doctor for a sports team. Upon this special occasion, he joined in to register for bone marrow matching.
I myself also participate in the bone marrow match registration. Actually, the matching process is very safe.
Saving one's life is a very good deed. Besides enjoying the baseball games, citizens at the stadium took the initiative to do charity.
In Paraguay, although there are not many Tzu Chi volunteers in Asunción, they still travel around to care for the impoverished and the solitary seniors. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.